days and 40 nights.
Welcome back. This is Wednesday again, and here's our second question for today in our Lenten challenges. And this question comes from Jeremy. He posted a while back in our comments 2 good questions. One I can't do. Jeremy, understand, the Son of God question you gave me was great. It was a good question, but I'd have to almost do a history course first about the book of Genesis and then start answering the question. So that one's a little heavier. We'll have to maybe talk about that another time. But for this purpose, your first question was great, and I've shortened it a little bit, though. The basic question was that, why do we call Jesus by that name? Because there was no Jesus, per se, in his original language. In the language that Jesus spoke, which was a mixture of Hebrew and Aramaic, which were the common languages that his people would have used at the time, he would have probably been called Yeshua, which is kind of like Joshua. So when did the change happen? So the question I'm turning it into is, why do we call Jesus Jesus and not Yeshua like he would have been called? And for the record, before I even start, Christ or Messiah is not a last name. Okay? Like when we say Jesus Christ, it's like a title. It's like I'm Reverend Moses, but that's what I do, similar to Jesus the Christ. You just skip the, or Jesus of Nazareth, where he's from. We don't do that much anymore. I'm not Moses of St. Philip's, and if I was, I'd have to be the third Moses of St. Philip's, and that's only if you don't count all of them, because there's a lot. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, the question, why is Jesus not Yeshua? Oh, and I'll start the clock. So, easy answer I can give is all about translations and transliterations. And the difference is translations is when you take one word and turn it into another language. For example, for those of you who know French and English, book in English is livre in French. That's a translation. Transliteration is when you literally take the letters of a word and just make it into the letters of your language, which works well here, because when Jesus' name was used in the New Testament, which is where he's named the most. I mean, he may be proclaimed from the Old Testament, prophesied about the Messiah, but the name itself, Jesus, in referring to Jesus of Nazareth, in the New Testament, when they wrote the Gospels and every other letter after that, was written in Greek. Because at the time, when all these books were written, Greek was like the common language. And I know that sounds a little funny, because there were tons of languages at the time, but when you're looking at the modern world in and around where Jesus was at the time, Aramaic was common amongst his people as kind of like the Newfoundlandese of their English. Hebrew was their language. But when you had to communicate amongst different peoples, cultures, and countries, Greek was like their English, for lack of a better word. Like here in the Western world, no matter where you're from, English seems to be very common. So that's basically what a lot of people use. So when you were conducting yourself for something that everybody could read, Greek was the language. And they, when they were translating names for the Gospels and such, don't have a sh sound. So Yeshua, which is the Hebrew way of saying Jesus, his name, which originally, just for the record, Yeshua and Jesus, pretty much the same name. Like Stephen and Stefan. They're spelled different, sound different, but they are literally the same name. If you looked them up, they'd be under the same umbrella. So they are the same name, just what happened was, since the Greeks don't have a sh sound or letter, they had to change it to Jesus, which was an I in place of the Y, an E with a little accent on it, S-U-S. And that's what that became, so Yeshua to Jesus. And then when the Latin came along, and I don't mean Latin America, I mean like the Romans, and the Romans took the church and ran with it. Like once the Holy Roman Empire became a thing and they became the Roman Catholic Church, and they pretty much spread the word better than anybody else could, like a pipe dream for Paul. When they took it on, they used their alphabet. The Greek have a funny alphabet, and then the Latins have the alphabet that we use today. And that alphabet took that word, Jesus, and just changed it to their letters. So you have the J, the E, the S, the U, the S, and that's what became common. And because of that, and how common and predominant the Roman Catholic Church became throughout everything, and amongst a lot of the languages that exist, because let me tell you, there are a lot of languages that still use the alphabet that we learned, ABCs, and a lot of languages throughout the world use that too, and a lot of them have a lot of Christians in amongst them. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the other side of it too is such that when they translated everything to Latin, both the Hebrew and the Greek Bibles, it all became Latin anyway. Funny story though, side note, Joshua in the Old Testament, because it was translated originally from Hebrew, didn't change. They kept it Yeshua in the Old Testament, just in the Greek, in the Roman translation. So that's kind of weird. So Joshua was always Joshua, but for the Greek, Jesus became Jesus, and Jesus became common, because a lot of languages use our alphabet. That is the, again with the 343. But anyway, so, there's my camera. So that's it, basically, in the simplest of terms. The fact of the matter is that with the Anglican Church, as you asked, I mean, we speak English. I mean, we are the Church of England, right? That's our origins. So when they translated the Bible into English, similar to how the Germans translated it when Luther took it over, again, a much longer conversation, guys, I'm keeping it short. But when we took it on and made an Anglified, Englished Bible, we just took it straight from the Latin took it from the Greek, and there it is. So it became very common. And like I said, it's very predominant in so many languages, they just didn't mess with it. That's basically it. So he is still technically Joshua, but we always remember him as Jesus. And more importantly, in some ways of translating it, they actually translate it a little different for that very reason, so that people would know the difference. I can't remember all the languages, but I remember reading that some other languages that don't use our alphabet, they change a little something in Jesus' name, so you know the difference. Anyway, I hope that's an answer, and I hope that's the best I can do again with the time that I have. But everybody, God bless, stay safe, pray safe, stay good this Holy Week, and I'll see you tomorrow.